Yay! Wonderful. Hi.
Good to see you.
You too. Thank you so much for doing this with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I know, I'm so excited.
Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to kick off Climate Week.
So maybe before diving into speaking about climate and the oceans, it'd be great for you to share a little bit about, apart from who you are, why you care.
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like at this point we all kind of have to care. I mean, obviously the generations before us, we can't control what world we were born into, but if you have any empathy, we're quite literally just stealing the futures away from those future generations. So, I look at my son who's about to turn 1 year old and my half-sister who just came out here yesterday. She's like 10, and it's their future that I'm stealing by being, whether it's a bad consumer and using single-use plastics, whether it's just neglecting the fact that this is happening and not seeing it, it's kind of on all of our shoulders to do better. So, man, yeah, as soon as you realize that, it's kind of like it goes from what am I not doing to how can I do something every day. That's been my mission since I've figured that out.
That's so awesome, and hopefully that's going to be contagious, and everyone that's tuning in today will also feel the same way.
That is the goal.
Amazing. But I'd love to start off by just sharing with people what is the connection between climate and the oceans first, into how we can have a positive impact on it. So I think people don't realize that we live on a blue planet ultimately. 70% of our planet is ocean. The ocean is responsible for 70% of the oxygen we breathe. That's more than every other state, which is mind blowing. And when we're starting to talk about climate change, I think a lot of people understand CO2 and warming, but I don't think they understand really how responsible the ocean is for that. So to kind of just throw out some crazy stats, since the 1970s, the ocean has actually absorbed 93% of the warming. It's like this unforeseen hero in the whole climate crisis. As well as over 40% of all CO2 emissions. And these are all man-made things.
Exactly. And like you said, though, we tend to think about the change in the weather, like heat, but like you said, it's the ocean that's driving everything on this planet. And it's funny you mentioned 70% of the Earth is covered with ocean. We shouldn't even be called Earth. Our planet should be called the ocean. As you look at the life forms here, you look at the way the atmosphere is here. What is the steady habitat we live in is due to the ocean. We wouldn't be here without that thing. So we got to start appreciating that a little bit more than we do right now, because it's tough.
Yeah, I'm totally in for calling it a blue planet. Let's go for it.
Can we petition that? Because
and so this week we're going to have leaders from around the world in governments and businesses and individuals and youth now actually talking about these things. And from an ocean perspective, those are things like coral reef bleaching. And I know you have a huge tie when you did a trip recently to French Polynesia and actually saw this firsthand.
And it was literally to your point there. I was just completely unaware of what coral bleaching was. I'd seen a few documentaries on how important coral reefs were. I didn't know why they were important. Obviously, they're important for their fish and their ecosystem. I didn't know that you take away algae, the ocean gets too warm, and you take away the ability for the phytoplankton stuff to create food. There's no food for the teeny fish. There's no food for the teeny fish. There's no food for the big fish. There's no food for the big fish. There's no food for us. So it's quite literally detrimental for our oceans to be able to be teeming with life. And you look at those deserts, those coral deserts, and it breaks your heart to see. I didn't even know it was a thing, and I was swimming around what I thought was a vibrant coral reef, because you go to travel to these places, and obviously tourism affects the environment, and you look, most people are swimming in the same reefs, and you think, oh, this is a vibrant reef. I went to a vibrant reef, and I was like, okay, wow, this is what it's supposed to look like. And to that point, I met a kid in French Polynesia, and he's a coral gardener, which I didn't even know existed, and he goes around boring holes in dead coral reefs, and he'll transplant pieces of coral, and he'll do all sorts of species so that it has diversity and that the reef grows back. And man, that's a kid my age, and I couldn't even have thought like that, a couple years ago. And to see that there's people in every corner of this, like truly fighting, young and old, for that future, it brings a lot of hope. And it's what we need to see. It's like, it's tough that we turn on the news and it's always bad stuff. I kind of do wish that, we would glorify some of the climate activists or some of the people out there doing stuff. Like, why isn't Greta on my news every day? Why can't I see Greta Thunberg and what she's doing? The climate strike she's still going strong. It's 2 years almost, and like, man, where's the news on that? I want us to shift our. But I'm definitely galvanized as a part of this generation. It's exciting because I finally feel like, with many young people and the connection that we all have with phones and technology now, we can really make an actual change. And it's obviously we can only change our own lives, but if I focus on mine and you focus on yours, and everyone focuses on being a good consumer, being conscious about the earth, and really trying to focus on taking care of everything, then man, I think we could be in a better place in a few years. But I don't know. It's at this rate, it's not looking too good.
I know, but I totally agree that we have to be hopeful at the end of the day, and I think most people don't realize that when you're advocating for the environment and for the oceans, you're actually advocating for human life.
Exactly.
It's very much how are we supposed to live on this planet as a species with everything that's increasing. You touched upon how interconnected it all is, and I think that's it. It's it doesn't matter what you care about. Go and care about something greater than yourself. Do something for your community, and it will all have that ripple effect.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's what's really crazy. It affects everything. Like you said, you can have a completely unrelated fight that you're battling and fighting, and the climate affects that. And there's so many sub issues within climate that, with race, with everything, where you see that is the overhanging issue of everything on this earth is we're destroying it, but behind we're pretty much addicted to it at this point. We need to change the way that we need to use natural resources and reusable things and all that stuff. We need to change the way we're consuming completely, and that takes time. And to do that, like you said, you gotta have hope. You can't just be oh, we're screwed, and it's so much easier to do that too. And there's been some days, man, where you just want to give up too, and that combined with the fact that okay, you look at the state of America, you look at the president who's just flat out denying some of this stuff, and it really is in our hands. It's up to this young generation to take care of the future, to take care of the world, because there won't be one without this young generation. With the current mindset and the way we're moving, there won't be a future. So, but we got to do something for sure.
Completely agree. And I think a lot of people, they may not be on the ocean, and they're well, why does it matter to me? And I think what you have to realize with the oceans and climate change, it affects all of us. When you're talking about an increase in, storms and natural disasters, and you're in California and you've been really badly affected by the fires. Spoke last week, you said they were literally at your front door. Do you want to share?
It goes back to temperature is directly affected by how much water is getting moisture and oxygen are held in the air, which, again, where do they teach me this in school? I think the only thing I learned about weather in school is the different clouds. But I'm learning about the changes and stuff. And apparently, so what's helping us with the fires right now is there's a bunch of these storms happening, and it's pushing some moisture into the air. So finally, the air's a little less dry. There's been 4 days out here at my house that it has passed 115. And you go outside, and it doesn't feel like you're on Earth. It's a scary feeling almost. And that's a week-long heat wave. And then just 2 days ago, we got an AQI that we could go outside and enjoy the outdoors. But it was 2 weeks inside, the sun, nothing, looked apocalyptic. And obviously, the fires are their whole own separate. But where does the root climate change? And it's just tough that we're shooting ourselves in the foot too with a lot. The ways that we're trying to deal with it. We're kind of trying to put a lid on some of these huge problems when, we need to get to the root of them and really start to change the way that we do it, because we can't just continue the way that we're, doing some of this stuff. And it's easy to put our head down and just be one in a gazillion people that use straws or that use, whatever it is. It's just so easy to kind of not care almost. But we have to care, because there's not going to be a future if we don't. So we have.
Yeah, and one of the things that really keeps me up at night is this idea of displacement of people. I think
my God,
increase of natural disasters when you talk about climate refugees. So every year since 2008, the World Bank came out with a report saying that 24 million people are displaced. So that's been happening.
From naturally disasters.
Yeah, just from natural disasters. And now with the increase in temperature and how we're moving towards that 0.2 increase, was projected to have 143 million people displaced by 2050.
Goodness.
And that's people, livelihoods. That's really scary. And I think these are places in landlocked areas too. So
that's what people don't understand. It's not just coastlines that are affected by the rising. Like even with the fires, there was a good million people that had to evacuate California and are still waiting to go home and just kind of in limbo, and that's a terrible place to be. And it's so many different areas and people and cultures and walks, every affected by it. That's the thing. It's like it's so interconnected, and until we realize that and start to treat it like a globe, like an organism, that's my favorite analogy I've heard. And I think I forgot who it was, the astronauts that went and stood on the moon and looked back at Earth and took pictures of Earth. They were the first people to see like Earth as a whole thing, like the edges of it, like where you could see outside of it, and their description of it being like a marble or being like an organism, like a living organism, is like it kind of pulled everything together for me. That's what it is. It's literally this ball of life, and it's so delicate, and it's so like we do one thing here, we get a little too close to the sun, we get a little too far, we freeze. Like every condition is so perfect, the atmosphere, everything, and it's been stable for how many millions of years? Not millions, but a long time.
It's true. The last 100
years to get this. Like it's really been a huge, long process for Earth to be the way it is right now, and we show up and just kind of take that for granted. So yeah, I don't know, but I definitely like the fact that we even got pictures from the moon looking at Earth. Like we're so capable of doing these amazing things and these awesome advancements and crazy technology and new stuff, and we're trying to go to Mars and all that's awesome. We got to focus on taking care of our planet first and foremost. Like before we do anything, that needs to be the number one priority on everyone's list. And like if you start a business, if you start a company, if you're supporting a current business or company and they're not, either donating proceeds or their mission isn't taking care of the environment, or they're doing something, whether it's fast fashion, that's directly hurting the environment, it's up to us as consumers to be aware, because they're like that should be regulated before it comes to us. All that stuff, like it shouldn't be on us to fix the way that these products hurt the environment, but it is on us. So the best way to do it is to take your dollars and put them where you want them, and then where they'll also help out the Earth instead of hurt the Earth. And that's, I think, the easy way that we can all help is spend your money in a way that doesn't hurt the Earth, and that's just a quick, easy change right there. Also, get a reusable water bottle, guys. Come on, can we stop buying plastic bottles, please? I remember my dad was telling me in the 70s, everyone drank out of water fountains, and it just wasn't a thing. They're like water bottles weren't a thing, and I think the first people came out with water bottles, and everyone was disgusted. Everyone was like, "Why the hell would you carry water around in a bottle like that? Like, just go drink from the fountain." And I mean, now it sounds a little weird to drink from a water fountain, but we should all get water bottles, and we need to limit those single-use items for sure. And it's just being a smarter consumer. It's just like, man, the bare minimum we can do. That's the bare minimum. We got to do that.
And one of the easiest ways to do that when we're talking about like climate is actually reducing your meat intake. So eating more of a diet. And I know you've been vegan.
What's a steak? I can't read it.
Nice. It's all backwards, but yes, if you bring it to me.
I've been vegan for a few years, and I love it. I mean, I don't want to ever tell anybody how to eat or diet, but diet aside, like people, do it for all sorts of different reasons. Focus on the animals and the earth real quick. You can eat vegan one day a week and make such a huge impact just by, or even just vegetarian. One meal a day, even cut out one.
It's limiting. It's not, you don't have to go to the extreme. It's just like starting limit.
Who said it? But like, it's not, it's going to take all of us doing this imperfect. Like, we're all going to make mistakes. We're not all going to, like, even as a vegan, I've slipped up and there's been an animal product that's entered my body in the past 3 years, but like, that's not a problem. It's like, if I'm trying, if I'm making the effort, we can all like imperfectly do this. It's not going to be a perfect thing. Like you're not going to be able to just wake up one day and be trash free. It's hard. I've been transitioning from, someone that had two trash cans full a week, carrying them to the street, to like someone who like I exclusively recycle and try not to throw away any trash. And at the end of every week, our recycling bin's full. I don't even have to.
That's going to be your challenge.
I'm like, I want to get the toilet because I'm kind of like beating around the bush, throwing the eggshell, but it's just taking longer. I'm like, you know what? I should just get the toilet. But now funny thing is I have a neighbor who's got a bunch of horses, and I'm scared to do it. I don't know how to do it, but I need their horse. How do I ask for their horse poop? It's another thing though. People don't realize soil, like good, healthy soil, is more valuable than gold. It's more valuable than oil. It's so important, and we have been just plowing it over for hundreds of years now, and like it's a rarity. And I think people are finally realizing like these delicate natural things where all of the temperature, weather, like all these conditions and like things come together. It's like so delicate, and a little far this way, like you can just completely ruin it or kill it. And I mean, as a human being, like I think that's something like nature has taught me. Being in nature has taught me like settle down, like be one with this, because like deep down in us, we all have that connection to Mother Earth. And I truly believe that like we all have that like good in us to we don't like want to destroy the Earth. Like there's no one out here like, oh yeah, let me just like that. It's a byproduct of us just being lazy and dumb, really. And that's what hurts most is no one wants to do it. And we just all kind of like wake up and make and do what needs to be done, because man, I don't want to see it. No one wants to see it. And that's the thing. It's like if we can all just make a little bit of an effort, I think we can make an impact. And the biggest hope for me that I've gotten since the whole 2020 started, because it's been a bad year, and obviously climate's been a problem long before 2020. But the whole thing that gave me some real hope was when the pandemic started. You could see the satellite like images and time lapses of
tearing up. Yeah.
Mother Earth just took like a big breath of air when we all like stayed inside, stopped using our cars, stopped consuming the way that we did. And all we did was all of us changed the way we consumed for like a couple months. And Earth, everything changed. The patterns, the weather, the wind, everything changed. So that really inspired me, because I was like, wow, like one day, if we all just like did one day where we just turned off all our lights or electricity or something, that's the stuff.
Hit the needle on the head. Like the planet is so powerful; it will rejuvenate. We just need to allow it to rejuvenate, and that's it. It's like, how can we lessen our negative impacts and just allow it to do what it does best?
Absolutely. I live in a pretty like wooded area, and it's one of those things. It's like the walking on the trail theory. It's like you want to. Obviously, when you go like camping or something, you want to leave it better than you found it. Don't crash or anything like that. And you look at the way it's the opposite for us. Like we need to be looking at these places as, okay, how can we continue to make this environment thrive? Not how can we put a new office building here? Still kind of thinking like that. So you look at cities like Singapore, or like these new cities that are completely, like countries even have completely banned single-use plastics, and they did it like at the snap of a finger, and they're functioning at a completely, higher level than us. And like, as a U.S. citizen, that's what I'm embarrassed about. That's what I'm mad about. That's what I'm upset about. Is we're one of the superpowers of the earth. All these countries are looking to it. Like, no matter what we do, they're gonna look at what we're doing. And us like pulling out of the climate deal. Like, what does that say to the rest of the world? Like, so I was real mad about the U.S. doing that and kind of just saying, like, neglecting everyone and it really hurt. And I mean, I don't know. Like, I obviously don't want to tell anybody who to vote for, but it's obvious that we have to vote for a candidate that cares about the earth. And one has a plan, one's completely neglecting it. So I said not to vote for, but we'll say vote for Mother Earth. Like,
yeah, vote for the environment. Let's go that way.
Like, gee, it's no brainer at that point.
And just as we wrap up, I'd love to hear, I know you're really into documentaries. Do you want to share a few of your favorite documentaries for people up this week?
And like, I honestly, to anybody watching, I just want to say, like, go watch every documentary there is. Like, we literally, like, if it's a bad one, you're going to learn something. You're going to laugh, or there's something like, there's so good pieces of content out there nowadays that, like, we're in that golden age where, like, you know, a couple hundred years ago they found gold, then it was the car. Our golden age is all content. So, like, literally, guys, go watch these documentaries. They'll blow your mind. We can see stuff that we've seen before. Personal favorites are anything David Attenborough narrates. So all Planet Earth, all the BBC Earth stuff. That footage alone, like, that'll make you want to produce it.
It's just like, wow,
yeah.
But we have to facts.
It's mind-blowing. Before the Flood's a good one with Leo that'll keep you engaged. And this is the thing. There is one for everything. There's one for food. There's a million for food, but, like, specific types of the way you eat. There's one for corals. You got to learn about the coral, or specifically oceans. There's a lot of good specific ocean docs. Chasing Coral is a good one that I like. But, man, to take something you like and type it in and then put doc at the end of it, and there'll be something for you, I promise. And that's what you guys need to do today with your free time, because it's good. I mean, watching the Kardashians and MTV it's you know, it is what it is. But we should be freaking consuming, you know, this stuff, and we need to be sharing this stuff too. Like, it's almost like one of those things. Like, if I could put this in everyone's mailbox, like, you know, when U2 put their album on one's phone when the new update came out, and, like, no matter, everyone had that album, no matter what, you couldn't do anything about it, and a lot of people were upset about that. That's what needs to happen with the climate crisis. Every single needs to be forced to have an update on their phone that says, here's some guidelines, here's how you can help the earth. And, like, I mean, come on, Apple, where you at? Let's start with that, because it's killing me right now. No, but it's upsetting. You got to keep hope, and you got to just remain optimistic that we can make an impact. Like you said, the earth will recover. You give it time, you give it space. So, I mean, we just got to be smarter consumers, and we got to care. It starts with caring. Like, we got to show that we care, and by doing that, we got to get up and vote. Show that we pick a candidate that cares, and it starts there, and then it starts in our everyday lives as well. I mean, we can go and write in on ballots as much as we want. Real change comes with what we do in our everyday lives. So if we each focus on being smart consumers, and when I say that, I literally just mean consuming in a way that, like, you've, like, practiced and, like, realized, oh, I don't need this. Like, I can cut out.
Also just thinking, like, what is the impact of what I'm buying? Like, if I'm buying that, you know,
how's it
order, what is it coming in? Like, is it good or bad for the planet? Just making those small decisions.
Like, if you ever order food, you can just, there's an option now on Postmates, Grubhub, every food delivery to pay no utensils. If you're ordering food, you got utensils at your house. Please just don't order utensils. If everyone's about ordering utensils, think about, you know, how much we'd save there. So, yeah, it's teeny little things, and you do one at a time. Like, for me, it was going trash free. Like, I just exclusively recycle. If it's trash now, like, I'll hold on to it for as long as I can before I have to throw it away. And, like, I'll take one trash bag out every freaking, like, month or two now, and it went from that. Like, my trash was full every week. So, like, it really just comes down to, like, putting in a little bit of extra. The whole way you consume changes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing. And
no, I appreciate you so much. Without you and your mission and people like you, it would be next to impossible for this generation and younger people like me to learn what to do or where to put our feet and what direction to go in, because, man, we were literally like, what, if we did this 10 years later, like, it wouldn't have mattered. Like, the world would just be gone. Like, there's not even a chance of us trying to save it. So really appreciate all the work you're doing, and yeah, I can't thank you enough, and I'm just very excited. I'm feeling galvanized now. I want to go freaking breathe. I want to get after it.
Yeah, everyone get out of nature. It's Climate Week.
Oh, do it.
Yeah, we'll be breaking down, like, different facts around the impacts on the ocean, so tune in all week. But thank you again. Super inspired and just amazing to see how much you care.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for watching, and yeah, have a good one.
Bye.